With this animation done, now it's time to create the rest of the scene, and this is going to be happening in a different file. I'm going to do File New. It's going to be a new project. I'm going to make sure to save what I just did. I'm going to make a new composition. Set it to HD TV 1080 29.97. Animation will be, let's say, 30 seconds long, which is 900 frames. Clicking on OK. I'm going to create a background, and then I'm going to import the other composition into here. I'm going to rename this composition Landscape. I'm going to import an Illustrator file, File, Import File, and I'll select the Landscape file. I'm going to treat this as footage this time because it's a flat background. I don't need any layers from it. If you did have layers in it, then you would have selected Composition, Retain Layer Sizes. I'm going to drag my Landscape AI file down here. I'm going to scale it up. And then I'm going to rasterize layers so it's nice and crisp. I'm now ready for the gator to bounce along, and then on to making multiple gators bounce along this landscape. To get the gator in here, first let me save the scene, File, Save As, and I'll call this Bounce Along. To get the animated gator into here, not just the Illustrator file, but everything, I'm going to go under File, Import File, and I'm going to select my balloon file, which has the balloon and the animation of the alligator. I'll click on Import. Then expanding this folder, there's the composition from the other saved file, and there's all the layers from the Illustrator file. So all I have to do is drag this balloon composition above my landscape, and there's a gator that's animated, and now it's time to get it to go bounce. I can drag down this. And I also have to deal with that my balloon animation is only 15 frames long. So to get this layer to repeat itself, so it just doesn't end like this, one way would be to duplicate this layer and stack it over here. But then that becomes this step building exercise where I just want one layer to continue to loop around. Select the layer and go under Layer, Time, Enable Time Remapping. And what time remapping does, it allows you to distort the time of the layer. Let's say I want this to happen quicker. I could do this. I'll option click on the stopwatch, and I'll type in loop out parentheses. And now when I play the animation, it's still going to stop here because I have to extend the layer. So I'm almost there. Let me click on here and just drag this layer to extend it. And you know you can extend it because you see the double arrows. I extend it all the way over there. And now by using loop out, this animation will just continue looping when it hits that point here. And we sort of blink for one frame right there. So to get rid of that blink before it continues animation, all that means is going to that key right here. Instead of setting it to frame 150, I'm going to hit 149. And that gets rid of the blink. So what I did, I offset the end of animation by one frame going the other direction, which gets rid of that blinkiness, and now the character just keeps on doing its loop. So now to animate this critter, I can start from here. And I'm going to press the P key for position. And then I'll move, let's say, to frame 300. Let's say that's all it takes for this first one to get across. Like this. Maybe take less than 10 seconds. So I'll just drag this key down to 200 frame point. A little better. And now I'll animate the bounce by going here, dragging it down. Going here, dragging it up. You can play with the tangent handlers. Maybe a big bounce here. Big bounce down. Big bounce up. And then it's off screen. Oh, I see the tail. Let's make sure that tail gets off screen. There we go. I want this to happen a lot quicker, like this. One way to do that is by selecting this composition and going under Layer, Time Stretch, and let's say by 50%. And now it all will take place quicker. I want to fix that first one. Another way would be to select these keys. I undid the time stretch, so now we're back to normal time of this animation. I'll select all these keys, and I'll Option or Alt drag from this end, and I'll drag towards the left. That compresses the animation down to however many frames you want. This first one right here, I think it needs a key to go up like this. And my gator is on there before it needs to be, so I'll pull this backwards at frame 0. Correct this first one. It takes a long time between here and here. You can see with the keys, you can just drag those keys out to respace them apart. Well, that's the first gator. What about the next one? We want this to continue over and over again. If I hit Control D or Command D, that duplicates the layer, and I could offset that layer by just clicking and dragging it this way. Now they'll repeat themselves. And Control D again. Now that I have 3 gators doing the same thing, what if you wanted to change up the color? You could import a new Illustrator file and swap in artwork. Here's the easier way. Going under color and going under color correction, change color to, and I'll drag it on to this last gator. From what color to what color? So from, I'll use the eyedropper, pick it, and to color, let's say I want this cyan gator. It doesn't look very cyan yet. Instead of hue, select hue and saturation, and that gives you more vivid colors. To apply a change of color, to apply a change of colors to the body's ball it's bouncing on, I'm going to just duplicate this by pressing Control D or Command D. And for my color, I'll select ball, and I'll change that color maybe to a red ball like this. So now you can add variation to your artwork.
To apply overall adjustments such as a color curve or hue and saturation, create a new adjustment layer, new adjustment layer. On top of this, apply something like a curve. And the way adjustment layer works, same way it works in Photoshop and other applications, it applies the adjustment to everything stacked below it. So usually a curve, something like this, works out well. You turn on and off the adjustment layer to see the effect. So adjustment layers are great for applying a global look to everything beneath the layers. And you can stack adjustment layers. Say I had another adjustment layer, Control D or Command D to duplicate it. I'm going to remove this curve. I'm going to apply hue and saturation. I'll look up hue and saturation. I'll apply it to this adjustment layer. And maybe I want to make it a little less saturated or more saturated. For a more cartoony, hurt my eye look, or for a more black and white look. Just a little bit of color. What if you don't want to apply the saturation layer to everything, just to the background? I could drag the saturation layer right above the background, and now the adjustment layer just applies there and anything else beneath it. I'm also going to apply a curve to the same adjustment layer. And I'll drag it down to make the scene look a little more like nighttime. To soften the look of the background on that adjustment layer, I'll drag a fastbox blur. And I'll set it to 1 or 2.